Okay, good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. Another up close and personal Nubeo watch review today. And this is sort of a series I'm doing whenever I do a watch review, which is in my, kind of typical format where I show you the watch on the wrist for the most part, talk a little about it, showing me. This is more for the folks who just really want to see the watch. And I've gotten, honestly, equal number of folks who say, hey, we like the content with you in the video, and kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like that personalized kind of touch. And then we also just, some people just really just want to see the watch and not my mug. So to kind of, these are great watches, whatever product I review, especially watches. Whether you like my content or like me or not, most important is to share the watches with you folks. And so I don't want somebody to miss out on the opportunity to own, in this case, a wonderful Nubeo watch, because you may not like, my style of video. So this is, again, all about the watch, and let's talk about it. So this is Nubeo's Supermassive. This is one of their tourbillons that I received several months ago. I'd say maybe even a year ago. It is available in a couple different color options, which we'll get to. As far as availability, I'm kind of coming back to this in this format. It may be available, it may not. You might be able to find them pre-owned on eBay. You might be able to find new stock on eBay. And you might find some of the, your traditional watch sellers. Nubeo is sold on sites like Ashford and, wherever it's available, basically, I'm going to put the link in there. Sometimes you'll find it on Amazon. So what do you get with this? So this is a big watch. This is not for the folks who just like your traditional 42mm watches. These are big, they're bold, and most of the Nubeo watches are going to be big and bold. They're not making a lot of small watches, if any. Most of them are over 47mm. This one here is, again, one of their tourbillons, and what's cool about this is that it's basically a center-mounted tourbillon. Now, as far as the movement on this, I don't know which one this has. It does have an exhibition window. It is an automatic tourbillon, so it is self-winding, where some of the other Nubeos, like the Polaris one, I just did a review on. If you haven't checked that out, do so, check it out. That one is a hand wind only. So this one is automatic. Of course, you can hand wind this as well, which will give it a little wind here, because this has been kind of sitting in the watch box for a while here. And I think this is a very interesting watch, mainly because the tourbillon is mounted in the center, which is kind of unique when it comes to watches. A lot of times you don't have that. Very different way of kind of, I guess, expressing time. You have some really large hands on this, and they're more of like these oval, kind of like flying saucer looking things. And the larger one, of course, is your minute, and then of course, just like a standard hand, your smaller one's going to be your hour marker, right? So very cool watch, and I'll just kind of show you how they look when they spin, when they rotate. It's kind of weird when you turn this, like you expect it to kind of snap around fast, but just due to its design and shape, it definitely moves at a slower pace. Very cool. There is lume on both of these hour and minute markers, and you can see that tourbillon just kind of rotating around. Now, forgive me if I'm not using the correct terminology. Basically, a tourbillon has the balance wheel, and there's a cage rotating around this. There's all different kinds of tourbillons out there, from like gyroscopic tourbillons, and I'm sure a bunch of others, but this is more your basic tourbillon. Again, as far as the movement on this is probably a Chinese tourbillon, and that is basically how folks are being able to pick up tourbillon watches for under $1,000 nowadays. 5 years ago, you would never find a tourbillon under $1,000. And if you were to find one, I would venture to guess that you wouldn't find one under $1,500. So pretty cool that they have these Chinese tourbillon movements. And let's face it, at the end of the day, these are fantastic movements. Remember, modern machining has made it possible to kind of replicate other brand designs, tourbillons that maybe been around for a very long time, maybe perfected in a affordable fashion. And so that's what you can get with Chinese tourbillons. People need to kind of get away from the idea that Chinese is bad. Chinese is, they're making amazing products, and, this is not something, if the Chinese can make a television set or one of the other millions of products you can find in the United States, then this is not some difficult thing to make, right? And so the watch world, the snob world, likes to think like movements are so advanced and so complicated. Of course, if you look at a watch like Jacob & Company with their like Bugatti version, that of course there are very complicated movements, pun intended. But this standard, basic, been around for years tourbillon is not that, right? And so unless you get into kind of these one-off style proprietary movements, this is very easy to replicate and very easy to replicate well, right? So very cool watch. So again, you have that automatic tourbillon movement. So let's see. So who's going to buy a tourbillon, right? So who's going to pay a premium for a tourbillon? Let's face it, you do pay a premium. A watch like this, Nubeo, generally $300 to $400, $500, something like this. These are upwards of like $3,800. Again, that depends on supply and demand. Remember, if you buy one of these watches for $3,800, don't think of it as getting ripped off. Just think of it as like you bought it when there was not a deal and these were more limited. And of course, these are limited edition timepieces. And so just kind of think about it like this. If you kind of had the idea that you're buying a watch mainly because you love it and you're going to get enjoyment out of it, that's kind of, I think, the best way to avoid that buyer's remorse feeling. If you want it and you like the design, of course, quality comes into play there. We'll talk about that. But for the most part, the most important thing is falling in love with the watch. That's a little extreme. I don't know if you fall in love with it's just an expression, right? So just like when you buy a Rolex, right? You're not buying a superior watch. Although there are some quality differences, right? We all know that, but it's not night and day. It really isn't. And so if you compare a Rolex to this, you're not going to put the Rolex side by side and say, oh my God, that Rolex just blows that Nubeo away. It's just not the case. Anybody who says so is just a liar. They're just really kind of convinced themselves that they needed to spend that to get a watch of high quality, and you really don't, right? So why would you buy the Rolex then? Why would you buy this? Because you ultimately like it and want it, and that's enough reason. If you're going to pay $3,800 for this watch, then yeah, you have to understand that it doesn't cost $3,800 to manufacture. It doesn't cost $3,000. I don't know what it costs, but I'm sure it's well under $400, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Watches are a luxury item, no matter what price point they're at. Nobody needs a watch. We all have the ability to tell time with our phones. The watch is a piece of jewelry, and it is a luxury item, right? So, all right, so now we got price out of the way. Let's talk about specs. So again, you have that automatic tourbillon movement. When it comes to quality, 316 stainless steel. That is really all you need in a watch. You don't need 904. Of course, if you want gold, yeah, that's a different kind of story. You're getting a precious metal, but realistically, 316 is really all you need. You're getting high quality, surgical grade stainless steel. It's going to last you a lifetime, right? 57 millimeters lug to lug. This is a big watch. Remember, lug to lug, these lugs do taper down, so you're picking up a lot of size on this. It's a big watch, nevertheless, but 57, remember that's lug to lug, and that's going to taper down on the bracelet, because you could almost say like, oh, it's a 90 millimeter if you keep measuring down the bracelet, right? So this really, I don't really consider the lug a factor in this, because it almost looks like it's just the bracelet coming right to the watch. So realistically, it's a 48 millimeter case. So it's 48 millimeters at the bezel. You pick up a little bit with the crown, screw it down, we'll save a little bit. Unidirectional rotating bezel. Turns, with authority. It turns, I wouldn't say it's easy to turn, but it turns like a good quality bezel should. There's always going to be little nuances with different bezels, right? Some are going to be harder to turn than others. This one here is a snug bezel. It locks into place. There's no back play in it. It's fantastic. Lines up with the 12 o'clock position. What else? We have Swiss New Light on the loom here, which is on some of these indices, and of course on the hands. And we do have an anti-reflective sapphire crystal. So that is a sort of a checkbox for a lot of folks. For me, I don't really care if a watch has sapphire, but when you're paying a certain price point, it is nice to have sapphire, only because it is the most scratch resistant, but you'll probably never scratch any crystal. It is sort of domed a little tiny bit. I call this like a donut style case. It's kind of round around the edges. It's a pretty simple design, right? Traditional 3-link bracelet. It has a mirror polishing on the edges of the center links, and the rest is brushed. That's really about it. Milled clasp, dual push button deployment, 3 levels of micro adjustment, and a safety latch with the Nubeo branding on it. Screw on case back. You can see it is an exhibition window, but it is kind of tinted in this like kind of blue type tint, and there is sort of a stick figure representation of a black hole, which is what I believe a Supermassive is. 28 millimeter stainless steel bracelet, which is going to be at the top portion here. It does taper down, I'd say maybe to 22. 20 ATMs of water resistance, 260 grams weight, and we have an 18.3 millimeter case thickness. Nice tall wrist presence. It's a great looking piece, and it's a great way to add a tourbillon to your collection. Nubeo is coming out with a lot of really unique tourbillons, and I love when they do. This is one that Definitely is one of the more unique ones because you have that center mounted tourbillon. So sorry, my smoke detector is chirping for the last 3 days. No matter how many batteries I put in it, it's still chirping. Get a couple close-ups here if we can. I'm trying to move this light a little bit here. There we go. Try not to get a glare. And so who buys a tourbillon? Really, tourbillons are really for folks who just want a tourbillon. There's really no need to have a tourbillon. Now, the tourbillon is supposed to counteract gravity. It's supposed to be more accurate. But at the end of the day, all these watches, whether you get an NH35, a quartz watch, whatever you're buying, quartz are the most accurate. But, with automatics, you're getting reasonably accurate time-telling capabilities. But you really just want a tourbillon so you can look down and see that outer cage spinning around the balance wheel. Now, some companies will sell watches, like on eBay, for instance, and say, oh, it's a tourbillon just because they have that cage, that three-pointed cage. But a lot of times it's stationary. So remember, just having the open heart showing off that balance wheel gyrating does not make it a tourbillon. It's the movement, the type of movement, and this type of cage, and you guys will tell me exactly what that's called, rotating around the balance wheel. And that is, to the best of my knowledge, helping to counteract gravity. So very cool looking watch. That's about the specs on it here. Sorry I don't have the actual tourbillon movement type, but if it's a deal breaker for you, you need to know, let me know. Sometimes I can make out the markings on it, but this you can't really see through the sketch Supermassive there. They are limited edition to 30 units on this, so they are extremely limited. Good luck if you can get one or find one. But I wanted to come back and do a review on it because it is a very unique watch, and I think it definitely warrants some close-up shots on this. So let's throw on the wrist. I'll just show you what it looks like here. I have a 7-inch wrist. In this video, you're not seeing me, so my weight, 180, 5'8", doesn't really make much of a difference, but you can see it definitely has a great wrist presence. And it's a watch that you definitely want to look at. Like, it draws people and be like, what is that? I've never seen anything like that before. And I like, these watches are space themed, so I love the fact that they have almost like, these are almost like planets like rotating around, I don't know, like a sun, right? If we consider the oscillating wheel there, the sun, they're just kind of in orbit. It's great, and I think it works really well with the theme of the watch, especially on this one because the Supermassive is a black hole, and it kind of has a black hole kind of look, and I think the black one represents that the best. Now, as far as other color options, they did make it in a blue. They made it in a, which is a great looking watch as well. They made it in a green with a stainless steel bezel. They made it in a black face with a, looks like a gold bezel. I don't know if that's gold or rose gold. I think it's gold. Then another cool one is the all black with just that rose gold bezel. I would have liked to have seen this, honestly, without the black bezel. I'm more of a fan of like a stainless bezel, but nevertheless, it looks really cool. It brings kind of a level of continuity with the color right to the edge. It's a great piece. It's one that I don't wear very often. It does sit in the watch box quite a bit, but every time I throw on the wrist, I'm just amazed that I even own this. So very cool. Let me know if you guys have any questions whatsoever. If you're have any questions regarding, again, the movement or the quality of Nubeo, rest assured you are getting amazing quality. And when looking for a watch, remember the most important thing: do you like it? Does it draw you in? Does it make you want to own it and enjoy it? Then that's the first and most important checkbox when buying a watch. After that, number one, what is it made out of? We have 3/16 stainless steel. Number two, what kind of movement? Some folks prefer quartz, some prefer automatic. In this case, if you're looking specifically for a tourbillon, that fits the bill. So next is crystal. What kind of crystal does it have? Again, we have sapphire. Those are the real big points, right? After that, we start looking at, does it have a screw-down crown? What's the water resistant like? Does it have a AR coating? Is it a milled clasp or a stamped clasp? We start to nitpick the watch. Overall, this watch is amazing quality, and if you add it to your collection, you're lucky, and you're going to be super happy. So thanks for watching, folks. Have a fantastic day. Subscribe to the channel, and take care.